I can't, just because I'm comfortable here, and I look forward to listening. But I want to share a few thoughts. I was just sitting here thinking, what in God, where am I? What's the helmet doing here? What's this? What's the little weather vane doing here? I'll just go think very big and then come back down to my sense of why this is important. Brendan Toohey's sitting here. He's the former Secretary General of the Department of Climate, well, it wasn't that, it was energy, something or other, communications. But Brendan was very significant in the history of the economic development of this country in being one of the people who convinced Charlie McCreevy at the time to put in a fibre optic cable that transformed this country. That actually, Microsoft and others benefited and really grew here because we had digital connectivity. And I think we're at a similar moment. Some of this technology, this box here, in my mind, could be as significant. We may be looking back in 20 or 30 years' time and thinking this project was the start of a technological innovation that was hugely significant for our country, I think. That's why I'm very glad to be here. I think it's really good that we have various people in the room, and the combination of people in the room is important. The fact that Maynooth, the Terrain AI team, is here talking to UCD, that's the first time, God almighty, when Irish universities ever talked to each other before, is incredible. But Maynooth has been doing some interesting things. I go back a lot of work with Maynooth over the years, in climate particularly. I go back to the variety of different people. But one people sticks in my mind, Martin Curley. He worked in Intel as well as Vice President for European Research for Intel, but he was working with Maynooth at the same time. And he had this, what sounds like a complicated idea, but what he called it, quadruple helix innovation, he called it. Open Innovation 2.0. And he said innovation occurs now best when you get this quadruple helix of government, Jerry, where are you, Jerry? Coffee from the Department of Climate, Environment, Climate Communications, industry, Microsoft and Cellnex. That's the helmet, I'm sure. Local authorities, Dublin City Council, civil society and academia, that when all four come together and share and collaborate, innovation starts to occur in this modern world in a way that's really effective. And that's what we're celebrating, and that's what we're testing here, that's what we're putting out here, is that combination of the skills of all those different organisations, local, international, enterprise and so on. And what the innovation is in, exactly was set out there, is in really being good at measuring and monitoring emissions. And we need that for so many different reasons. We'll need it for air quality improvements, but more than anything else, in my mind, coming out of the climate negotiations in Dubai, the next stage in development in the whole climate area is going to be really focusing on the land use and land use emissions, and how we monitor and measure and respond to and reduce some of those emissions. And yes, a lot of it will relate to cities, but it will also relate to peatlands, forestry, farming, and the ability for us to be accurate and certain as to what's happening. I mean, the EPA came out yesterday with a really important, taking the IPCC kind of approach and bringing it back to Ireland. And we in government, Jerry is involved in other departments in our land use review now. This technology, this innovation, I believe has huge potential application to how we measure and monitor our emissions from various gases, CO2, nitrous oxides, methane, in our land use. And that's why it's significant. Why am I surprised in the middle of all this collaborative, innovative process is there Gary McDarby sitting in the front row? Because I've known Gary for, God, I don't know, 15, 20 years now, Gary, I guess. Gary was very involved in UCD, obviously, in a whole variety of different guys, but also Media Lab, in the original establishment of the Digital Hub in Dublin, in the educational role in that, in terms of not just all the tech, but how do you, in this quadruple helix way, how do you connect that to local community? How do you influence local education in terms with all this technology that's coming on board? Gary came to me about 3 or 4 months ago, it was, or 6 months ago maybe now, Gary, and showed me this box. And I thought the contents of this box was probably the most interesting thing I'd seen in this term of government. You can't see it now because it's closed, but open it up, what you'd see is a series of small components, most of which must have been developed for mobile phone technology, I guess, in terms of the small, easy, replicable transistor and other monitoring measurement devices, which you can take, you've taken, Gary, from all those other technologies and put together into a tool which allows us to do this monitoring and measurement and data sharing and assessment of technology, of emissions, in a way that I think this is the transformative piece inside this box, and the use of that data. Because the cost of that is a minute fraction of the technology we're currently using, which is really good technology, these flux towers in our land use systems, which 100 grand a pop or whatever.
50.
This ain't 100 grand a pop. And that's why this is transformative. I think it's a leap of technological leap to allow us to use data, and it's the number of sites. The fact that we can put them on the Cellnex sites is hugely significant, because the power system is there available. The data distribution system is available in the same tower. So it's putting these elements together, using it with Microsoft or others to say, okay, what do you want to use, what's in that data, what can we tell from it? That's why this is transformative and significant. And it's not just our cities, I would argue. I think we can apply this in rural areas as well. In cities, I can see we've got to put in a completely different transport system in Dublin City in the next 6 months. We've got to go in August and take the traffic out of the city centre, take the true traffic out of the city centre. Could we have these boxes in place in time to be able to show, do you know what happened because of that? This is the air quality change that occurred, and we can measure and monitor that, in that instance for health, but it also applies in so many different applications. And we won't know the benefits of the sharing of this data until we actually get up and do it, in my mind. There'll be all sorts of untold consequences in terms of when you get access to this level of data. There's a revolution taking place in our world at the moment. It's a clean energy revolution, a digital revolution, and a transport revolution. This type of technology will help us in Ireland to be the cutting edge of that. And that's why I think it's significant. And I want to thank everyone, because everyone in this room has a role. It's the coming together of the pieces which makes this work collaboratively. And it should be open access, in my mind, to the shared, transparent, best. That's what works. That's when quadruple helix innovation, according to Martin Curley, takes place. And I think he's right. And that's what we have here today. Well done, everyone, for making it happen. Thank you.